Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. This is part 2 of a Proxy battle tank that I am making. It is based on a 40K tank, and I can't even pronounce the name. I'll mess it up, but I think it's called the Le Mans Russ, something like that. Anyway, this is where I left you with the last episode. Actually, that's not true. I went ahead and glued on the little dots that serve sort of as gears. And what else? And the hatch and this back piece right here. But that's all I did between last episode and this episode. So what we're going to do in this episode is I'm going to mount some things to the front of the tank. And yes, this is the front, that way. I'm going to mount some stuff to the front of the tank, and I'm going to get working on the turret, get this thing all primed and painted, and hopefully it will look like a fairly decent Proxy tank for a 40K game. All right, let's get to the work table and get this thing done. I'm trying to figure out what to do for the side guns here that are sort of, they pivot. I found these interesting pieces in my junk drawer. They came from a erector set, like a little kit, and I'm not even quite sure what it is, but it looks like it's some sort of axle. This probably had a wheel on it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off these last two springy pieces right here. I'm going to take it out to the bandsaw, cut those off, and I should be left with an interesting looking piece that I should be able to mount in there that looks kind of like a gun. All right, so I cut off the little bendy pieces on the end here, leaving me with just these two pieces. What I'm going to do now is hot glue these in here on the sponsons at an angle. So basically what I've got to do is figure out, they're going to go in, so I'm going to put a dab there and there. Okay, so a little dab here and a little dab there. And goes in at an angle like that. There we go. Do the other one. So that one's going to go in like that. So it'll be there and there. Okay, so here and here. All right, and then this goes down in here like so. Trying to match the angle. It's kind of hard. They're not exact, but that's okay. Well, they're pretty close. There you go. Two guns from the junk drawer. For the turret's gun right here, the cannon, I found these two pieces. They came off of a toy truck. They're actually exhaust when they're held vertically. You can see the exhaust. But I think what I'm going to do is cut off these pieces and glue these two halves together and see if I can't use the holes or the little dimples in this to mimic some sort of gun. This may not be the whole cannon or gun, just part of it. So let me see what I can do here. I want to be careful and not ruin. These are my only two pieces. So if I break these, I don't know what I will do. Fortunately, the plastic is very soft, so it cuts pretty easily. All right, so far so good. And they had these little clip pieces because it was a toy. These clip pieces go into the plastic. Those have to come off as well. So let me see what I can do here. Those are real easy to cut off. All right. All right, so now let's see. Oh, look at that. Oh man, that is gonna look cool. That is definitely gonna look cool as a cannon. Now, the end I'm not so pleased with, but we'll see what we can do. Use some hot glue to seal this up. Maybe I should have glued that with tacky glue, but that's all right. All right. Yeah, that looks awesome. I'm not happy with the end here. It's too small of a bore. So I may do something extra here. But this will go here. And I'm going to glue it with the dimples facing up because that's a lot more. Well, I guess I could do it sideways. No, because there's a seam. So I want it like that. So let's go ahead and glue it on. All right, I'm gonna let that dry really good. And then I'll figure out what to do about covering it to make it look a little less like a plastic piece and more like a turret. But not too shabby. I am pretty happy with it so far. We'll keep going. All right, for the tank's front gun, I'm going to do something similar to how I created these and also how I created the cannon on the front. I have these little pieces that were also part of that toy truck. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trim these up and I'm going to glue the halves together and see what they look like. I honestly don't know at this point. I'm just going to experiment. Not too bad. Good enough that it can... And then of course I'll have to put something on the end to make it look like a gun, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And as a matter of fact, I got to trim this side. So both sides have this little flashing that you've got to take off. There we go. Okay, let's see. Did they fit? They do. And I can glue those two halves together with some hot glue. There we go. Now, these are chromed, but again, I'm going to prime it so the shine will go away, and then I'll paint them some gunmetal or something like that. I don't care about this end piece. It's going to be covered up because it's going to be actually inside here, so it doesn't really matter. So basically, I've just got to do one more and then glue them in there and figure out how to sort of make them look like guns. All right, almost done. Now, to get the turret to actually swivel, there's a lot of ways you could do it. You could mount it on a tube or something, but I'm going to use these little thin magnets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue one of them underneath a base for a minute. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, like this. So if I put one underneath here, the magnet should be strong enough. Look at that, see? All right, so what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to glue the magnet down here. I'm just gonna squeeze a whole bunch of glue over it to hold it in place. Okay. And then this piece is going to glue onto here. There we go. Yeah, that's much stronger. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a dab of hot glue on top. Press this down. All right, here is the unpainted but finished tank. You'll notice that it swivels, and that is, I glued a magnet underneath this miniature base here, and then there's another magnet glued beneath this piece of cardstock, and they just it's pretty strong. Look at that, I'm lifting it off. It's enough that it could swivel. I thought about gluing it in place and just leaving it, but I thought it'd be fun to have a swiveling one as well. I almost forgot something. Before I get to painting this, I have been trying to come up with a technique for adding rivets to chipboard and other models. You know, rivets are very tiny. On a model like this, they're going to be very small, almost not even noticeable unless you paint them, which is what I intend to do here. Now, I have seen various techniques on YouTube and here and there, people gluing little bits of plastic or metal, but sometimes the scale doesn't fit. I do not know if this is going to look good after it's painted, but I want to show you real quick one of the techniques I've come up with. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it. I have a bunch of little rivets on this side around the tank tread. They're very tiny dots, and you can actually feel them when you run your finger over them. They stand up. They're hardened, flexible modeling paste is what I'm using. Let me show you how I do this. So what I've got here is I've got a skewer, and I've cut off the end to make it flat and dull. And this was just experimentation to come up with the right size. I wish I could tell you that that's exactly 1 millimeter, but you just have to experiment. And the reason you want to flatten that, and you want to have a paper towel, by the way, here's how it's going to do it. Here's how I do it. I'm going to use the turret here. See this piece of armor on the side? I want to put turrets, or rivets all the way around it. So here is what I'm doing. I take my stick here, and I get a good little bead on the end of it. Not a whole lot, but just enough to like have a little stretchy part. I don't know what you call it, a little leftover. Now, this takes practice. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to tap it and then pull away. Now, it doesn't look like much, all right? I don't even know if you can see it there. It's a little white dab of paste with a little tip on it. It's almost like a Hershey Kiss, because that's when you pull it away, it pulls and makes that fine point. Now, the reason you want that fine point is you got to let this dry for a good long time. I don't remember what the instructions say. Does it say how long it takes to dry? It does not. I let it dry overnight, so I know at least overnight it's going to work. Then after you do that, after it dries, you can take your finger and you can dull that little point, and it leaves this nice little sharp, and you're never going to get them exactly the same. I'm just going, you just have to just sort of play with it. See how I'm doing it? They don't look exactly like rivets, but they're small, and I think when it's all painted up and those are still there, I can take a little bit of silver or gunmetal paint, and I can just touch those, and I'm hoping they'll look like rivets. Again, I don't know. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I don't know how these are going to turn out, and it's just experimental. It definitely doesn't look good right now, but I think once the paint is on it and I add the little bits of silver or whatever to it, I think it'll look okay. Cross fingers. If it doesn't look okay, I can just take my finger and smush it, or break them off, or just paint them the color I need. So there you go. There is my, we'll call it my Proxy 40K tank. It's called a Le Mans Russ, I think is the official name of it. But I've never painted a Warhammer model. I don't really know the color schemes very well, but what I've seen at the stores, They're usually very bright colors with a lot of like silver and gold and bronze and that kind of stuff. So I just went with purple, and it looks blue in some of the videos or photos, but it's purple. And then I just hit it with bronze and silver and various colors. The turret, still is magnetized, so you can pop it off and it wants to stick. But I'm I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I've seen this on tabletops at the gaming stores, and I have to admit, from a distance, I wouldn't be able to tell. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Probably a Warhammer player would, but I just wanted to see if it was possible, and I came up with this. Granted, it's not going to win any awards for best model, best painting, all that stuff, but considering that it's made out of foam, chipboard, some granny grating, and some trash bits from various kits, not too bad. Now, all that said, I don't know what one of these runs cost-wise, but this was a lot of work. I mean, this was hours and hours to make one. If you are a 40K player and you want 10 of these, man, I don't know. I don't think I have it in me, the energy to make 10 of these. It was just a lot of work. But this did convince me that scale-wise, it's just time. Details like the rivets and stuff, I don't even know if you can see. They showed up really well when you put the metallic on there. I thought about dabbing them with some alternate color, but I don't have to. Even from a distance, you can really see that glue technique, actually not glue, it was this flexible modeling paste. Just putting little dabs and making little like Hershey Kisses. After it dries, you just run your finger over and it breaks that real sharp point and leaves you behind a rivet. And I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks awesome. Can't wait to put it up there just as a show me model. I don't play 40K, so I probably won't ever have a use for it. But yeah, I like it. I hope you do too, and I hope this has inspired you to maybe give it a try. Pick a tank, pick something from 40K, and try to recreate it. It was just a fun little experiment because I saw Bill or Wylock do the knight out of trash, so I decided to try my hand at it. Anyway, I'll be back next week with a new project. I've got a list of projects like a page long, so no shortage of ideas. Just a quick reminder, if you are not a subscriber to the channel, please click the subscribe button and you will be notified when a new video comes out pretty much every Friday. And let's see what else. Bexham's Bizarre Gaming Magazine. We are on issue 9 now. Issue 10 comes out on October 1st. It's well underway. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you're not a subscriber, look in the details information below this video and you can go download issue number 6 for free to just see what the magazine's about. It's been pushing 100 pages since like issue 2, I think. And I think it's a great resource for gamers, both RPGs and war gamers. And if you like it, consider subscribing for $2 an issue, or you can just buy each issue as you go from Drive-Thru RPG for $3 an issue. And then finally, come join me over at the Tabletop Engineer Facebook page. We do a live event every Wednesday, typically, unless I'm sick. And what else? There's just ongoing discussions and all kinds of stuff. Plus, it just lets me interact with you guys when you post comments and stuff like that. But if you have any questions about this video, post comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. If I had to estimate time-wise on this, I would probably say about 10 hours, 10 to 15, well, not 15, 10 to 12 hours to make it, because I know that question is going to come up. Anyway, that's it. This is DM Jim. I will see you next week with a new project. Take care.